Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Cat Attacks Live. Yay! Clap, 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 clap for me, Josh. I'm sad. And speaking of sad,
Golf
we're gonna
claps.
be I don't want golf claps. I want that slow clap.
I don't know how that sounds.
Yay! Oh my god, thank you. Whoever that was.
Oh my god, the special appearance guest.
DJ Khaled! Another one. We're going to talk about our feelings, our feelers in this episode. And it was eye-opening. You guys, if you guys don't know by now, we talk about everything that in life entails. So be ready for this heart-filled, emotional roller coaster. And thank you so much for listening, you guys. Don't forget to hit all the links. And
Like, comment, subscribe, share. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Send us off.
And with that, a brand new episode of Cat Attacks Life. Let's get into it, guys.
Woo! Hey guys, welcome to a new episode. Yay!
Yay!
Okay. Today is getting reels in the feels. We're talking about emotions. Oh my god, gasp. As usual, Joshua, my co-host.
Yes.
Say words.
What? I'm here. I've been brought back.
Tell everyone where they could find us.
We are
Again.
on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Apple iTunes. And YouTube.
Also.
And Linktree is in the description wherever you are listening.
We're training him. I'm training him. He's doing pretty good. Also, don't forget to like our Facebook page. We're there too.
I'm pretty sure the link's over there too.
It's in that area. Okay, Josh. Oh yeah, let's talk about how our day went today. Oh.
Yee. Did archery.
We did archery.
My forearm hurts.
Oh my god. We tried archery. I've always wanted to try archery. And naturally, we watched Hunger Games when we were younger. Read the books. We're fans in high school.
Yeah, I read the third book in like 4 hours. I don't recommend it. My head hurted. My head hurt after it.
Whose birthdays are it?
What?
That's what he sounded like. Whose birthdays are it? You can't grammar right now.
Not right now, no.
Yeah, so we got our Katniss.
You can't do it either.
Our Katniss Everdeen on. Some little bow and arrow action. It was a lot of fun. Really simple. It was easy after a while. And the place that we went to is called Impact Archery here in Vegas.
Shut up.
They're really helpful, simple, like I said. And everyone there is pretty cool. It's chill. It's mellow. No one's in your face. And there's not a lot of people. I mean, there is, but, they're focused on their time there as well. So if you have time, check it out. Check out Groupon because they do have a deal right now. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I would go back.
I want to go back.
Yeah.
So
I have my we have our bullseye paper.
Our target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. Check that out. Okay, so we're going to be talking about emotions today. Emotions like how we process things, how we think we process things, things that have effective... I can't... Retrograde, man. No, I don't know.
It's real. 3 more days. 4 more days.
Astrology is another topic, another episode for another day. But we're going to talk about how we work on ourselves and how we heal ourselves and our emotional processes. Josh, when you were younger, how...
All I keep thinking of is, was it Trixie and Katya?
When I was hungry, When I was hungry, I asked my grandparents, may I please have
Bread.
bread?
Oh God. Go on. You're saying.
When you were younger, how were your emotions when, let's say, in like, as a teenager, compared to what they've grown into now?
A lot of temper tantrums. A lot of attitude. Not too sure if it's... I don't know. Maybe my attitude's different now. Maybe it's just more passive aggressive. I've been told that. But like, I mean, it's better than how it used to be. I used to be super sarcastic. I mean, I'm still sarcastic, but not in an angry way. So that's pretty much how it was back then. Now it's just some passive aggressiveness. I don't really...
It's just the dial and the volume has like lowered.
It's like it's lowered. It's a different flavor now. It's just like only two or three people can really... They'll catch my passive aggressive side. But other than that, I don't really get too angry with anybody anymore. Unless it's in traffic. I think if you want to see me at my most angry, just watch me in traffic.
Oh my God, yeah. You in traffic.
Because I've caught it myself a couple times too. The other day I was driving home from the gym. And I literally just burst out of nowhere. What the fuck are you doing? Just drive, and yeah, it's like, oh shit. Oh, okay. That's...
I mean, bad traffic's going to get anyone upset.
Nah, not like this.
No.
Because I'll go from like listening to a song and I'm like, oh, this is great, everything's cool. Someone just like slows down, like, get the fuck.
Oh my God.
0 to 100 real quick. But at least it's that and only that and nothing else really that's happened lately where I get that angry. So
yeah. What did you say last episode about being low maintenance?
Shut up.
Quote by Joshua Healy, 2021.
I'm very low maintenance about the things that don't matter to me, but high maintenance about the things that do. And other news, water is wet.
Yep.
Oh, we're not going back down that rabbit hole.
Like a recap. 2 episodes ago, actually. The last episode that was before this one was like, just random stuff, and then we got into fears and conspiracy theories. So I hope you guys liked that episode. We're recording this at the end of January, so like I said, we're always living in the future. Back to emotions. Yeah. When I was younger, though, I don't know. It's so far away to think about, you know?
That's why I don't think about it. It's a long time ago. Tell us about how you were as a child, as a teenager. I don't remember you being...
No.
Incredibly angry.
Nope.
At anything, really.
I had things that were driving me that I was excited about all the time. Obsessions. But I don't remember, like, I was very to myself in middle school. And then all parts of high school, I was very to myself. I only had like a few people that I could talk to. I don't remember much. Like, there was nothing that, like, to emotionally get me, you know. I think there was... It's hard. It's hard to think about. I don't know. What do you remember? You're the one who was my friend at the time.
Well, I mean, I don't remember you coming to me with anything super serious where it was like, oh, this is going to affect us in that way, or is going to affect to the point where it's going to be super memorable. Anything negative, at least.
Yeah.
I think you were just highly focused on whatever was right in front of you at the time.
And at the time, wrestling was my thing.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I guess my emotions were dormant from what I think. I was very stubborn as a kid. Still very stubborn to this day.
Yeah.
It carries on. But it's a lot of stubbornness. I just kind of did my own thing, kept to myself. I was definitely an outsider, or, you know, didn't fit in with anybody, anything. Random people were my friends here and there, but it wasn't like, you know, big cliques or whatever. So I was to myself. I was kind of secret, like, just moving along. Yeah, I feel like it's just a polar of who I am today and who I was. It's so weird to think there was like a switch somewhere. I know where that switch went, though. I definitely know where that switch went. Life, man. Life, man. Where you going, man? Okay. Emotions, emotional healing, feelings, sadness, crying, anger. How do you deal with yourself and things when you get to a state? I really want to know. Everyone is different. So if you're listening to this, just know that your way is your way and it's correct, and there's no wrong or right reason to do something or the other, right? I don't know. Everyone has their own coping mechanism with their emotions, and sometimes you do need people to come up to you and say, hey, this isn't good, or this isn't healthy, or, you know, a reality check in that sense. But I feel like everyone, if they feel better at the end of something, you know, long term, that's the way to go. Yeah.
I suppose.
Tell me.
I don't know. Well, okay. So like you said, we all have our coping mechanisms, whether they be good or bad, and it takes a high level of discernment to know when something's good or bad for you. However, I do think that the more popular approach is to fall into self-destructive tendencies.
Yeah.
Whether or not you actually see them as being self-destructive. And it just depends on how you define that.
That's where you need the reality check.
Exactly. Like, after a bad breakup, if you go to, I don't know, smoking or drinking more, or just aimlessly talking to people, like, what are you getting out of it? And there's nothing wrong, essentially, with how you cope if it helps for a while, but at the end of the day, is how long are you going to keep doing it? Is it sustainable? And especially with like smoking and drinking, it's obviously not sustainable. And I've seen the side effects of that, and trust me, it's not something that you and I definitely don't want to reach the end point on. Or even talking to people aimlessly.
Yeah.
Whether that be romantic interests or however else you want to define that.
Trying to like fill a void.
Exactly. It's like, it's not something, at the end of the day, what are you getting from it? What is going to help you in your healing process? And I've always been of the opinion that, like, hey, same thing with you. Like what you said is that whatever way it works for you. But then we have to get back to the bare bones of, is it actually working? What is it doing? Is it distracting you, or is it actually helping you heal emotionally? And so I feel like people often confuse the two.
Yeah.
It's okay to be distracted, but for how long and until what point does it start just doing its work against you?
Yeah. Spiral. It's like that spiral. I want to talk about, okay, so I've always been fascinated by how people turn to different vices to cope with their emotions, and it's a research, right? Like, well, people will turn to something to get their mind off of it, like the highs, because it makes them not think about or feel something about whatever they're going through. It takes them away for a second, and they get addicted to that, right? But I've always wondered, like, I'm not this person, not saying anything bad about people who have done that in the past, because, you know, you fall into different things, and drugs are literally addictions, and sometimes it's really difficult to get out of it, and everyone is different. So I'm not judging anyone. I just want to know, like, I always wondered where that becomes an addiction. Like, is it because there is that void? Or is it kind of like an escape from reality in a sense? Like, how does that, you know? Where does that turn into, like, something you can't stop?
I wouldn't necessarily know in terms of, like, okay, so then that's a different, you want to talk about conventional addiction versus addiction as a coping mechanism, whether or not those two are the same thing, right? Because with conventional addiction, I feel like it's a lifelong thing. Maybe they are one and the same, where conventional addiction and circumstantial addiction. So with conventional, it's basically just it's that void, or it's that feeling that they're chasing, whether it be the feeling of a void or it's the absence of a feeling that they need to get away from or have. And then circumstantial addiction, where it's only temporary versus being lifelong. Or I don't know. That's an interesting question, and I don't know if those are the same things.
It's so intense to think about. You know, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, why do the people do this, and how do they get addicted? You know, drugs or whatever. Like, what are they trying to do? Now when I look at it, it's just like,
makes sense.
It makes sense, and there's reasons why, and then not obviously it's not a good thing. Like, when you have an addiction and it ruins your life, or it becomes something that's too, you know, it's too big of an idea to put away or stop. It becomes a monster in your life. Like, I get it now. I totally get it. So it's always been interesting to me. Have you ever met people that, like, didn't have emotions or didn't feel or had some kind of other outlet or projection because there was a shell? Like, have you ever talked to someone like that?
Yeah. And you wouldn't be surprised that when I finally got them to open up, they weren't good at dealing with their emotions. So I think that people develop those shells and those protective layers just out of fear of getting hurt. And it calls to mind two people that I've dealt with in terms of their emotional state. And they were legitimately afraid of it because they had no idea how to navigate it. They're very logical people. They live in the realm of the mind where it's easier for them to just turn their emotions off, because then it just doesn't confuse their circuitry, their system, and they can justify the things that they do or don't do simply by a logical basis of means. And then I would watch them literally crumble in front of me like a sugar cookie. They would just crumble apart as soon as they hit even the slightest touch of emotion that was actually genuine.
Yeah.
And everything. And they would just, completely draw a blank.
I know that. I know someone like that too.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the downside of having a protective layer, is that you may never get hurt as frequently as other people do, but you'll definitely get hurt just as bad, if not more in depth, because you haven't been exposed to that kind of pain before. Just because you're always having your guard up, and it's, the ones that hurt are going to start hurting a lot more because you're not used to it.
How does one get exposed?
You just put yourself out there. That's the okay. So when it comes to any kind of emotion or feeling, especially when it comes to terms of like emotions that you need to heal from, whether it be anger, love, emotions that can cause addiction or can be detrimental to your health, is that you need to expose yourself to them more often to get a grip on how you would handle them. Yeah. At least that's how I believe it. Which is why it's important for what I believe is that you need to be fearless and courageous when it comes to your heart. And I've always been, now I'm finally learning this about myself, but I've always been in the situation to do that, and I've always chosen to do that, but also at great detriment to how I feel. And I've gone through some pretty nasty breakups. Some of them weren't really technically breakups. It's all confusing. But yeah, it's like I'm on the other side of that now, and I feel 10 times better and more confident knowing what I have to give, who I am, the ability that I now have to be able to deal with these feelings, with these emotions. But that never would have been there now if it wasn't for the exposure. And if it wasn't for me pouring myself out, as so to say, as some people have said. And I've always been judged because of that, especially by the people who I've been closest with, in terms, the people who were close enough to me to be able to hurt me.
Oh, yeah.
They've always said, like, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop giving yourself out like that, to stop pouring yourself out like that to people, and then you're getting hurt over and over again. And I'm like, there was a brief second where I sat back and I thought maybe they're right. And then I came to the conclusion, it's like, no, that's wrong. It's, what's the point of having these emotions and feeling these things and doing all of this for one person or another, how many other people you want to do it for, if it's just going to be muted, if it's just going to be half measures to protect myself? Because the truth of the matter is that I firmly believe that there is no such thing as any solidified protection in this world when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, divorces are like 50-60%. It's never a guarantee that someone's going to stay. So what better way to steel yourself against that than to train yourself to deal with it in whatever healthy ways you can possibly do it, rather than reserving yourself, which is the commonplace. The common advice is like, oh, don't get too involved. Don't go too fast. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't give everything so fast. And it's like, why wouldn't I? What's the point of doing this? You know, like, yeah, I'm going to get hurt, but I'm going to get hurt just as much as the next person, even if I don't do it.
Wow.
So you're going to sit there across from the table and you're going to tell me that you are less hurt because you gave less, even though the same things happened to you and me. And I just don't believe that. I just think it's the same, and you didn't go all the way. If anything, it's, you know, it's more courageous and it's better to do it that way. How do you know?
That's true.
How do you know who you are if you haven't given everything already? If you haven't put yourself out there? If you haven't laid yourself before someone like that in the most intimate way? To me, it's crazy not to. Because it's like a litmus test for me. How do you know the people who are there for you, the people who matter, who need to matter in your life, versus the people who don't? Not to say that nobody necessarily matters, but it's like you gotta, in order to find the people that you are going to be your most genuine self with, in order to find the people who you can not water yourself down. How are you going to do that if you're not the most genuine person, if you're not the most expressive, if you don't give 110% of yourself?
Yeah. Wow. You're really vulnerable right now. Josh.
That's my secret. I'm always vulnerable.
You're always uncomfortable. You're always vulnerable.
It's my favorite line.
No. For real though, like, thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, especially males, you know, right now in the society, have so much trouble just even saying how they feel.
Repressed emotions and all that kind of stuff.
It's obviously built into society and cultures and what have you, but, you know.
Oh, I can go on that.
Oh, yeah. Like, it takes very strong, courageous people, like you were saying, to even shed an amount of, like, emotion or, like, an ounce of what it means to actually say how you're actually feeling, you know? And that's hard to do. Thank you, Josh. Like, honestly, like, I feel like whoever's listening to this is going to take away a lot from that. So, like, it is, that's yours. I always tell you, though, how I feel almost like a contradiction of when I say it's okay to be vulnerable, and then I don't allow myself to do that as well.
About that. Yeah.
So, I appreciate when people tell me how they feel and stuff, and that's coming from a very sacred and soft space. So I understand its importance, but, like, lately I've been noticing how I've been so I feel like I'm the ear to tell this to, and it, people trust me, and I love that. And at the same time, when I come back home to myself and it's just me, I don't do that for myself. You know, like be vulnerable or feel these things. I mean, obviously I feel these things, but there's always parts of me that kind of like moves on to the next thing and ticks into another whatever, and like gets into a routine, and it becomes really comfortable, and I don't process things correctly, or for myself to actually like feel good about it, I don't do these things. And I guess that's something that I'm learning this year. I internalize a lot though. Yeah, like I've never been so angry to the point where I had to like throw shit, or hit something, whatever. I've never been to this point of like rage where I'm uncontrollable, because everything, like all my emotions turn back and shell, and it goes deep within myself, and it stays there, festers. It's like an infection. It spreads until I cleanse, which is like crying, doing something else, letting time pass. I have also discovered that when time passes for me and I do something, or, stimulate myself in some other areas, or watch something else, the energy kind of gets lighter for me. But that's hard to do when I'm in an emotional state where it's very intense or heavy. See, I always tell people all the time where it's like, it's okay to feel these things, let it out, cry, do it. And when I come back,
can't do it for yourself.
I can't do it for myself. It's so, I think it was based on growing up for me too, where I had felt like, I did keep it to myself. I never went to my siblings, my brother or my parents for any kind of emotional support. There was no emotional support when I was growing up. In that way, I kind of had to carry myself. And it wasn't a bad thing, But I guess when you grow up like that, you kind of depend on yourself. And when you reach strong points in your life where you feel like you're on top of the world and nothing can break you down, and you have this optimism all the time, it becomes what you're used to, what I'm used to at least. And then it's like, sometimes I think like, it's, why are you crying? Like, oh, why are you feeling this way? You shouldn't allow yourself, like, these things they're not healthy. Don't get me wrong, like, these things, don't do these things for yourself. But here I am, like, saying these things and not believing that I have this right to. And it's so difficult for me, because I do feel like it's like polar opposites of what I say to other people and then how I treat myself.
Well, I mean, it's easier to give advice than take advice.
From myself, I know,
especially
right?
Especially when it comes from you. So
it's something I need to work on, but it's so, like, I think even to this day, like, I feel it's hard for me to be completely bare and vulnerable without an actual, like, overflow, Like, sometimes I just want to sit and think about nothing, do nothing important, very, what is it called? Lazy.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Be very lazy with myself and not do anything, and then, do that until I'm tired, and then wake up and do it all over again. So it's not really processing emotions. But I've gotten to a flow where I don't pay attention to them. And I don't know, that's probably not a good thing. It's probably not the best thing. And I know I'm not the only person that goes through that, but, like, I guess when it comes down to how I feel, I can feel things very deeply, but then at the same time, I don't feel anything. Does that make sense? Like, I don't... I've noticed that I don't overthink as much as I used to. Like, I don't have this, like, itching paranoia of something. Sometimes it comes up in here and there, but, like, for the most part, I'm just spaced out. And there's a lot of things I still have to deal with, and a lot of things I have to pay attention to, but I'm very Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm in my head all the time. Sometimes I space out doing dishes or driving. Driving is natural for anyone, but like, I do notice that it becomes really like I don't see what I'm looking at because I'm in my head all the time. I don't know, but I don't feel anything.
I think
It sounds so sad. You know what I just imagined? Squidward in that room, and he's like, alone.
Future.
Alone.
No, I know what you're talking about. I've had a few of those, and I read somewhere, I can't remember where, but from what I understand, it's basically like another underlying coping mechanism where spacing out is pretty much just a way of you to not confront whatever it is that you are actually feeling, or whatever emotions are bubbling up, or things like a defense mechanism for your brain. Like, it automatically already knows what's going to happen when you go down that road.
Oh, yeah.
So then it just spaces out. And it's like, all right, we're just going to take a commercial break.
That's all right. We're not going to go.
We're not going to go there.
Change the channel on this. And
yeah,
we're
exactly.
Make you focus on this so you don't end up feeling anything.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I space out sometimes too. For multiple reasons. Some of it is that I think that's your cross to bear. Everybody has one when it comes to their emotional state. So, practice makes perfect.
How do you cope? When you get into like when you're feeling something, like there's just like a very strong event that's made you. I don't know what is it called.
So, I have. We'll go over the unhealthy ways that I've coped. We'll go through the healthy ways that I've coped. Yeah. So the most unhealthy ones are the ones that everybody has when it comes to being unhealthy in terms of emotional coping. Is just, alcohol. I don't really smoke. It's not my thing anymore.
That's a vice. It's another thing.
Yeah. Besides it, it's not. I don't like it. I don't like the feeling I get from it. I just get anxious and hungry. Who wants those two things bundled together? It's like, I'm anxious and I'm hungry.
I'm supposed to be on a diet.
That too.
Yeah.
Another one of
then you get more anxiety because you're
more anxiety. Yeah. That's another thing that's an unhealthy coping mechanism with me is that usually I'll just eat. I'll put away a good amount of food. So, and quite frankly, this quarantine, I feel like everybody gained a couple pounds, honestly.
Stress eating. That's one of them. I'm working on that one. Food is meant to be enjoyed, not consumed. So, working on that. That's one of my unhealthy coping mechanisms. Now, the healthy ones, the ones that I have noticed is simple yet effective, like going to the gym, pushing myself hard when it comes to working out, or even mentally too. I've been studying a lot more things, doing more mental games, and surprisingly lately, writing has taken a bit of a backseat. Yeah. Why?
I think it's just because I'm happier now.
Oh, didn't we talk about that? Where when you're writing from a sad place, it's easier.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Did we talk about it here? No.
No, not on here. I don't think.
Oh, we should bring that up.
And this also ties in with something else I had another thought on when it comes to coping. But basically, is that it's like all the writing that I've done, for at least for myself, is that it's always coming from a sad place. Now, to tie that in, another method of coping that I've discovered is that, which a lot of people don't do, is writing when you're happy, or writing when things are going good. Experiencing those emotions. And I feel like we punish ourselves for feeling sad stuff. We subconsciously, whenever we have those kinds of things that are happening in our life, where it causes us to be sad or to feel some kind of emotional pain, we double back on that loop and punish ourselves even harder for that by like listening to sad music or writing things and trying to get our emotions out by writing. And it's always from a sad place. It's always from a dark place, just so that way we can feel as if we're venting, kind of like take it out of us and put it somewhere else.
Yeah, and if you notice, it's harder to make something out of joy, per se, like a song or a poem, a story, coming from a happy place, than it is a very, very dark and deep and sad and heartbroken
Yeah.
area. And it's always like that. Like all the poems that you see are, these days, and the short stories, like they all come from some sort of heartbreak, some sort of breakup, some sort of loss, some sort of disappointment. But you never see stories that are like, oh, it's happy, it's joyous. It's like, it's, you can think of the words that make you feel happy, but when it comes down to writing like something, it's weird, or it's not as practiced.
Yeah. And that's the question. Is it more because we don't notice the happiness and we don't feel a need to write about it? Or is it because sadness is more inherently interesting than being happy? And I feel like the answer is no, because when you're happy, there's something that's going right, and there's more behind the scenes. I feel like when it comes to like experiencing bad emotions, sad emotions, anything that causes us pain, we focus more on that because we want to stop the pain.
Yeah.
But when we're happy,
Yeah.
when we're experiencing joy, when everything is going right, we don't take a second to stop and say, what's causing everything to go right?
Yeah.
What's the formula behind that? And I've noticed this with myself, that I've developed this new habit, and I'm kind of proud of myself for doing so, is that I'll just randomly be driving, or I'll be in the middle of something and just sit back and be like, wow, I am pretty happy at this moment.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good right now at this moment.
Yeah.
Always tagging on at this moment, because it could change at any given time.
Just like being sad.
Just like being sad. And then that, tacking that back onto being sad, I feel as if people, I know I've done it, and I'm pretty sure you have too, where the sadness is always extreme and everlasting, and the happiness is only ever temporary. But no, that sadness is also temporary.
Yes.
And also putting that back onto that is like, I only feel sad at this moment.
I think that's very hard to remember.
It's very hard to
while
pull
you're
yourself
in
out
that.
of that.
Okay, one sec. Okay, Josh, I'm gonna try something new.
This is another personality test.
No.
I swear to
We're
God.
halfway through this podcast. We're gonna have a little upswing here, a little commercial break, if you will. Guys, if you've been listening, thank you so much. If you guys are new listeners, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you. Don't forget our links. Spotify, iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Instagram coming soon. Trying to expand a little more. So tell your friends, tell everyone who's interested. Podcasts are it's kind of a niche thing to do these days, but it's progressive. So thank you for those new listeners. We want this to be as expansive as it can, reach different countries, different cultures. Yes. So, Josh, do you know any good jokes?
My life?
Oh. There'll be a knock joke real quick before we head back to the deep deep stuff.
I don't know any appropriate jokes.
Okay, never mind.
I probably shouldn't do any dark jokes. I'm not doing.
Nah, you
I'm
shouldn't
not
do
doing
dark
that. That's
jokes.
you have to be accustomed to that.
Yeah. No. You got 20 seconds. Also, our video content on YouTube is going to be coming up soon. We're actually doing a special thing next week, and you guys will see one of the first things we get to do as almost like a vlog. But check back, and that'll be uploaded in February or this month, right? If you're listening, if this comes out, I don't know.
Time is weird.
Time is weird. Time is fluid.
It's not real.
Time is not real. Okay, guys, back to the podcast. So sadness. So sadness and happiness, right?
Sadness is always best followed by a laugh. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we're back here. I obviously you guys noticed by now. This episode is more, I don't know. Like when you listen to a lot of podcasts, you think, oh, like information and this and that. You know, Cat Attack's life is life. We're attacking everything, and everything includes emotions, and you can't say you don't have any because that's coming from a very unhealed place, and it's human nature and it's science to have emotions.
I mean, unless you're pathologically predisposed to not have emotions, that's a different story.
Like psychopaths.
Yeah. But it's only like, what, 12% of the population? So that's like, what, maybe 3% of our listeners? I don't know.
Are you a sociopath? Is that what you're asking?
If you were a sociopath, please call this number.
1-800. Have you or someone you know
been diagnosed with mesothelioma? Okay.
Yeah, so this is, we're breaking down a lot of things here. If you guys have a chance, you know, let me know how you guys do with your emotions. I know it's a very what is it? Like, it's touchy. It's coming from like you have to be a little bare and vulnerable here.
Be bare. Be vulnerable.
Be naked.
Be emotionally naked.
Emotionally naked is a good one. Emotionally bare.
Emotionally bare.
We've talked about sadness, coping with sadness. Let's talk about the opposite side of the spectrum. Happiness. Joy.
Yeah.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
Kind of like the moment in time where you just sit there and you think, wow, everything is amazing right now. Everything is great. This is all I've ever wanted to see in my life or feel in my life. I think those moments are they shouldn't be so rare. Right? They shouldn't be so scarce because we have an opportunity to do a lot of things, feel a lot of good, do a lot of good. So what was one moment in your life that you felt like everything is perfect? Aside from the small fact that the traffic is going exactly how you want it to.
I just feel regular at that tone because it's supposed to be working like that.
It's like, how hard is it to drive on a freeway?
I'm saying, I was watching this one comedian and he was all like, look at us as human beings and all whatnot, civilization, science. But you know what I noticed? Ants do not have traffic. How the fuck are we going to let ants be better than us? So, it's going to go back to that trip back in 2018 that I took to Hawaii. It's the happiest place on earth. I definitely had my moments there.
Yeah.
So, one of those moments would probably have to be, so I don't know if any of you have been there, you've done the hikes. One of them is Cocoa Head. It's basically the Stair Hill hike, and it was fun, and basically just Stairmaster 3000.
Oh.
But at the very top, there's kind of like 3 different areas that you can go to. One's a old, not like a pillbox bunker, maybe like the remains of one, but it's basically just a slab of concrete that you can stand on and look out to the rest of the island. And I remember standing up there, taking pictures and all that kind of stuff, and just sitting there for a moment, not thinking about the climb, not thinking about going back down, not thinking about what I was doing later that day, or what I was dealing with at the time, the past, the present, the future, leaving, going home, everything after that. Like, I wasn't thinking about anything. And I just looked out to the horizon, and it was just, that moment was completely and utterly perfect.
Yeah.
The air, the temperature, even the people. I wasn't annoyed with people. I wasn't even concerned so much about anybody else in the space. It was pretty much just me at the top of the world. And that's what it felt like. just looking down on everything. And that was probably one of the moments that I could describe as being perfectly happy, without
That
any.
sounds bliss, like bliss.
Yeah, there wasn't any predispositions. There wasn't any reasons as to why. It was literally out of nowhere, in a sense, where it wasn't coming from a previous emotion. It wasn't coming from a if and or but statement where I'm only happy because I'm with this person, or I'm only happy because I'm eating this, or I'm only happy because I'm doing this thing. I was doing nothing.
Yeah.
I was just at the top of a pretty tall mountain and just looking out, and that was it.
That's always so easy to find moments of happiness in places we've never been to.
Surprisingly, yeah.
I love traveling. So sad we couldn't do it this year, or in the last year. New York. When I
want to go to New York.
When I went to New York, that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm not doing anything. I'm literally like staring into the buildings.
I'm just here.
I'm just here. Like I've never been to New York. I went there 2015 with my mom, and it was a short trip, but like not knowing or expecting what New York looked like is exactly what you'll get. When you see pictures and you'll see movies, it's like, that's New York. You know that's New York. And you go there, it's like, this is everywhere. And you see in like different shows, movies, like it's exactly what it is. The atmosphere, the air, the sounds, just the wonder too. There's so many people on the subway, so many cultures. I think when you like coming from, we're in Vegas, so coming from Vegas all the way to the east side and like seeing this different city and its history and its like culture, I think that's what made me feel like, oh yeah, like I could do this traveling thing. Like I could totally go to different places and experience different things. So I felt that too. It was really fun traveling.
That's what on the list.
Is that when we were younger, didn't everyone our age now, jeez, everyone would always tell us like, yeah, you need to travel when you're a kid, travel as much as you can, travel. It's not wrong. Like if that's by the book, then it's true. It's for a reason.
Yeah, it's one of those things that everybody got right. So you just need to travel and experience new things, which begs the question as to why is like travel when you're young. Why not travel all the time? I mean, it's good to settle. Yeah. It's good to settle down. I can understand that. It's understandable the merits behind staying in one place, but
you have so much time.
Why stop traveling?
Why stop going to new places?
Exactly. That's why. I mean, I want to travel, and we're gonna travel, you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going off road on this podcast.
Hey, maybe we will whenever we do that trip in September that we were talking about.
Yeah.
We'll take all the equipment, go down to the beach, all that stuff. But that speaks to another part of being happy and dealing with emotions is the experience of the novel, experiencing things that are new, dealing with things that are new that you don't quite understand.
Feeling lost in it.
Yeah.
But it's a good kind of confusion, right? It's that good kind of like, oh, I don't know what's happening, but
it's like the opposite of fear. Being lost, but not being afraid. Being confused, but not feeling attacked for being confused.
Yeah.
There's no detrimental force out to get you. There's no evil proposition behind whatever it is that you're experiencing at any given moment in time. It's just pure. There's nothing tied to it where it's like, hey, there's danger here, whether it be emotionally or physically danger. It's just a completely new experience.
That's the difference between sadness and happiness. You just said it. Like when you're sad, you feel like there's something out to get you, or you did something, or something didn't go your way. Why? But when you're happy, it's like, I don't question this at all. I don't question this at all. This is
Exactly.
amazing. I do feel like happiness should be celebrated more so. It's going back to, what we grew up with being exposed to too. Like how our emotions get affected by what we see. News, right? Always some kind of worst case scenario on the news when all these happy stories exist. No. Let's not do that. Let's feed on their fears. Let's feed on their sadness. Let's feed on their expectations for the worst, their assumptions for the worst. See, when you look at things past that in the world, it becomes a little easier, brighter.
I think that's why I've always been an optimist, and I'm an eternal optimist when it comes to the outlook on the world. Don't get me wrong, there are times where I am scared and worry about the state of affairs that are happening. But overall, once you get past all the negative stuff that's out there, especially once you get past the negative emotions that are within yourself, you begin to see the brightness out there of other human beings, of just the world in general, and it's a lot better than what people make it out to be.
Absolutely.
And the one thing I've noticed, especially when you brought up like newscasts and general television and all that kind of stuff, is that don't be your own news agency where you're expounding and expanding your own fears of what's out there.
Yeah.
Because what I've noticed is that when you're sad, everything becomes immediately local, which is like nothing's going right in my life, nothing's happening in my time, it's not doing anything for me. But when you're happy, you're not necessarily thinking about yourself. You're surrounded by the moment and whatever's happening in that moment. You're like, I'm so happy. And the because isn't necessarily a singular thing. I'm so happy because I'm surrounded by a feeling, by people, by an environment, an atmosphere, or by an action that you're doing. And it becomes it expands. Happiness is expanding. Sadness is very removing and shrinking.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And so don't be your own news agency and don't bet against yourself like that. Think that, like I said, I'm an eternal optimist. And I think that if people, I'm not saying it's easy to get out of your rut and out of your own sadness, but if you just take an eye out, it's important to focus on you and your faults and everything and on the things that are going wrong. But at the same time, it's equally, if not more important, to take one eye out to the world to see everything that's good out there versus what's bad. Because the good generally outweighs the bad, which is why I have such a terrible time when it comes to people who say the world is ending, everything is coming down, crashing. Like people who panic buy, people who, like I read toilet paper. I read the headlines about people buying all the ammunition because they're afraid about the new gun laws, and they're afraid about what's going to happen if things go bad. I'm like, all right, let's be honest. Things might go bad, and survival might have to be part of that. But the odds and how everything is, I don't see it happening like that. The world is not ending, and maybe it's naive, but if everybody just took a step back and took a look outside of their own hemisphere of perception of all the negativity, you would see things a lot differently. I certainly have when it came down to my own sadness. So,
I mean, eternalizing is very easy to, that's the shrinking part.
Yeah.
But I've always known, like, when I get into a mood, it's the way I feel, but it's not what's happening outside. And that's fine, because I'll sit with that, and I'll do what I can until I get out of it. But then I never say, oh, the world sucks, and, nothing's gonna ever, like, sometimes I get into that zone, but at the same time, like, I know when I'm out of it, like, there's so many things out there for me to see still, and so many things to make me happy still. I've noticed when I was growing up, like, I always would say, at least so and so, at least this and this. Like, someone was like, oh man, example, like, there's gum at the bottom of my shoe. And be like, well, at least you could take it off. So, small things like that. Like, I always say at least, because even that at least is the silver lining. Because I've never been so pessimistic where it's just like, oh, life sucks, without, some kind of missing chemical in my brain. But at the same time, there was always this kind of like twinkle or sparkle of like, well, this is going for you. Well, this is happening for you. Like, I think people just get caught in a loop of like, what else is going to happen next that's going to suck in my life? Because it's an expectation or it's an assumption. Because something bad happens, it's going to happen again. I don't think like that. Well, no one should. No one should for long term.
Yeah, it's not a winning strategy.
That's not. It's a losing strategy, because then everything to you appears like it's out. Something's out to get you, or something negative happens, and you're like, oh, this again. It's like, no, handle it. Just handle it. There's other things that are going on, and like, always take that step back and be like, okay, at least I have that. At least this is this. It could be worse. Stuff like that, It could be worse is a good one too. I say that. I said it a lot. It could be worse. Those are just little insights of like optimism, but generally speaking, it is very hard to keep optimistic. Because pessimism, and this balance of like realism, being realistic, and then having a great outlook on life. There's a balance to that. There's always going to be a balance to that. You always have to balance that out, because nothing is always perfect, but nothing is also, I lost my train of thought. Nothing. Okay, so Josh, help me out.
I don't know.
Please tag me in.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Can I phone a friend? Please. Please.
Continue with your thought.
Oh my god. Okay, so nothing.
Fight it out.
I know. I'm trying to find it. Nothing is always.
Nothing is always as bad as it seems. Is that what it is?
What am I trying to say, guys? Help me out.
Like, comment, share below.
Of what I'm trying to say. So, okay. Let me try. Yo, okay. Respect, bro. Come on. All right. So nothing is always perfect, and then nothing is always destroyed or ruined. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, it's never one or the other. There is always a balance to these things. If something is happening for you where you think there's gonna be a streak of bad things happening to you, you don't know that. Maybe you're just having a rough time. Maybe you're just having like a shitty week, or small things are bugging you, but it's not going to be the reason. Like, there's no reason behind it. Sometimes you just gotta deal with it. Sometimes it's just small little bumps in the road, but you keep going. And then these happy moments too, it's like you'll face them and they're great, and you're gonna have a great feeling about everything that you're doing. But that small thing that doesn't go for you shouldn't flip that either, right? There's always going to be some kind of like middle. Sometimes if things are going great for you, one thing that goes wrong ticks you off, stop. Vice versa. If things are going like really bad for you in the week, and something you don't feel like it's going your way, or one small thing that is good doesn't really affect you because you think everything else is going to go to shit, stop. Like,
stop. Get help. No, I agree with you.
People get like that though, where they're just like,
that one thing
takes away everything else that's going for them.
Well, it's natural,
and it shouldn't be, because that everything should be celebrated in its own form, even the bad stuff.
Well, we're humans and we're messy, so messy. What should and shouldn't be, We could talk about shoulds all day, but what we actually do is
Shitting
what
yourself.
matters.
You're shitting yourself.
You shouldn't shit yourself. Yeah. It's a balance. A lot of balance when it comes down to it. And what I've noticed is that the people who are happiest are usually often the ones who recognize that they are happy.
Mm-hmm.
And recognition is important. Because it's easy for you to recognize when you're sad, but it's not so easy to do that when you're happy. To take a step back and be like, hey, this is good. And like you said with the whole streak of bad luck is like, what if we started thinking, well, this didn't turn out, but the next one might. Like, what if everything just happens the perfect way I need it to in the next couple of months? What if I do that? What if I do this? And then all of a sudden it all works out. And, you know, we don't think like that naturally. We are always expecting the worst case scenario to kind of cope ourselves through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it might not even happen. It isn't terrible until it happens. It isn't.
Is that one of your genius quotes again?
No, because that one is not a platitude. That one is not self-fulfilling. It's actually one-sided on that one. I hate you.
And the words of Tipsy Bartender.
And there you have it.
And there you have it. So this episode is wrapping up. We're here reaching our 1 hour mark. We should definitely return to this. Oh, and in future episodes too, we're thinking about relationship stuff, love stuff. So we're gonna get into astrology in future episodes. We're gonna get into our experiences. Our vlogs are coming out soon. Very excited for those. Get some visual content going on. So there's a lot to look forward to, guys. Thank you so much again for listening. We are going to be back with a brand new episode very soon. I don't know when this is going to come out, so when it does, just know the next one is soon.
No timeline at all.
Time does not exist.
It's going to come out eventually.
When it comes out, it will come out.
Jesus.
That's your quote.
Done with those. Okay, Josh. Final words on this episode. I think I'm all episode worded out. Honestly.
Well, we thank you for sharing your emotions.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being vulnerable and bare and emotionally naked with us. Put some clothes on.
Time for me to go put some clothes on. It's cold.
And with that, we're signing off. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.